And we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another brand new episode of the Fans of Power podcast. I'm Tyler Baker. Joe Amato is here, and we apologize for the late start on the YouTube feed here. Or if you're listening to this on Podbean, you probably won't be late. But if you're listening to this live, we apologize for the delay there.
It's
Uh,
all Jesus. We did a podcast earlier. My tablet worked fine. So now I go to click on it. When I was clicking in Hangouts, it was like cannot open, cannot open. I hit it at least 8 times. Like, well, what in the hell is going on? So then it said you need to update. I tried to update. I tried to get out. Oh Jesus. So yeah, that's all me, everybody. It was me and this. Dear God, how many times this thing got to update? I swear I just updated.
I was telling
Hangouts.
Nathan like this must be Joe's new excuse for just being late. Like he just it's updating. I'm like,
No,
didn't you just update the other day?
And I did, and I swear to God, updating again. And when I try to open it in a different kind of function or something, it never wants to go. It wants to go through all these other steps. I'm like, just give me the Google Hangout screen. That's all I want. So I apologize. So let me go back to the beginning just to see who's all here. So I want to acknowledge everybody. We've got Zentron here, Brad Collins, Eric Amen, Zen Brown. Scrolling down, hold on a second. T Dogs joined us. Let me go. Adam Gabbert's here. Grimbot's here. And I already said T Dog. Just want to make sure I'm not getting senile. Jesus. And yeah, I think I acknowledge everybody. Oh wait, and Fedmon is here. So, oh dear God, thank you all for joining us. And again, apologize for that damn delay.
Calm down, dude. We're not doing anybody any service with an overly hyped Joe that could possibly just flip the table over and say, "Do it yourself." This podcast is over.
Exactly. And then God, for whatever reason, it looks like the quality of the video is worse than it normally is. But I have bad technology. So hey, so what's going on, Tyler? Any new stuff? Anything going on that is happening in the world of Masters Pop, new adventures, anything like that?
I will say I have seen the new He-Man documentary.
Okay, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I was absolutely in love with it. I was, and it just shows you how shitty the Toys That Made Us Netflix series really is when you watch this. I mean, not that I expected these guys to put out something that was making fun of or poking jabs and stuff, but when you watch that piece of shit on Netflix and just see all the bad jokes and nobody takes it seriously, they're looking for ways to make fun of the line and the evolution of the line and how it got produced and everything. Everything was given such care. And I mean, one of the biggest highlights for me, I was talking to John Atkin about it, was how much the movie is given a lot of attention, and it's all positive attention. Like when they talk to Dolph and Frank Langella and William Stout and Anthony DeLongis, I mean, it's given a lot of care. I mean, it was so great to see more perspectives with the real flagship guys on that film talk about it. And I won't go into specific details because Joe still hasn't seen it. I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen it yet if you haven't purchased it or whatever.
But basically, what you're saying is there was no mocking of toys.
No, not a single bit. Everything. When they talk about the refreshing characters like Mossman and Stinkor or Merman and Beastman, there's no jokes about Stinkor or Mossman or making fun of characters. You know, Mark Taylor talks about how he felt the line was just getting too silly and he didn't like the direction, but it's not done for comedic purposes. It's done because the guy in his heart didn't like where it was going, or everything about the movie. You know, Dolph speaks about it in a very positive attitude. Frank Langella definitely speaks about it in high regard. And his input and things about the Skeletor. Like I said, I can't wait for Joe to watch it because then we could really discuss it in a lot more detail. But I've watched it almost two times all the way through, and I was just it got me really, really excited just at the end of it. Just something that you're pumped and like, oh man, it was great to see He-Man given so much positive attention and the creation of She-Ra and dealing with filmation and getting the cartoon going. Everything was given such care. It is 90 minutes, but I know on the DVD Blu-ray releases, there's many, many hours of bonus features with interviews and stuff like that. So I'll forgive it for that.
Has the Blu-ray version been sent out to people, or is that something that's still got to be sent out?
It's being dispensed as far as I know.
Now, the one that's going to be on Netflix that they're going to show, is that going to be the basically DVD
Yeah,
version? Or, oh, okay.
well, it'll be the 90-minute documentary. I assume the DVD and the Blu-ray have all got the bonus features on there. Like, I think it's like over 4 hours of bonus feature, which I assume is extended interviews with cast from the movie, people who worked at Filmation, Larry DiTillio, Michael Straczynski, Erica Scheimer, people who worked at Mattel. You know, there's probably more stuff with Mark and
And
things
when
like
was that?
that.
It was August 20. What was the date for the Netflix one that they'll be
God,
showing?
I thought it was coming up like later this week or something like that.
Oh, later this week. Okay, yeah, 'cause I honestly
I
couldn't
I
remember.
thought I you know didn't have, I just knew it was coming up, but it's in the next week or so, maybe the
Shit, the
following
pond.
week.
Oh, okay. God, I was in
Right.
there watching and my Shadow Beast fell over and hold on. Where the hell am I at? Sorry. Trying
Next
to
you know, we're gonna find out Joe's not wearing pants or something like that.
It's like this, son of a bitch. Wait, what the hell side am I? Oh my good God, I gotta get this shit to come out. Oh
What the
God
hell
damn,
is that?
I'm dropping the mirror, I'm dropping everything. I can't even see what's going on. I'm hitting
It's like
volume
we're
buttons.
watching a really bad Blair Witch Project, you know, spinoff. You know, oh
What
my
am I?
God. Next to Joe's gonna be standing in the corner, and then he's gonna be knocked out cold, and I'm gonna have to scream and yell and hold the camera up close to my face. And
I'm just gonna interject here for a second. Joe, are you all right, man?
Shit, I'm sorry. I was sitting
he's like
here.
speaking a different language.
Oh, I'm in the living room behind me, and I'm looking at the computer screen, and I just see everything just flipping around, and I'm like, what is going on?
Hold on a
At least
second.
he's laughing about it, not
I just
you know,
wanted to come and
sons of
check in
bitches.
and make sure that he was okay.
Just hold on. I'm sitting here.
Look at that drywall ceiling.
It's in my light. See, I have the Shadow Beast that always holds my tablet up, and his legs gotten kind of loose. He just fell over. He knocked that over, knocked the mirror over. Anything.
Can't you just like go outside and grab a rock or something?
Son of a bitch! I can't even. What the fuck am I doing? And then I tried a new chair because the old chair I used to sit in was real squeaky, and I thought it was always picking up on the show. So I got this one that, God, it's way too low. It's like one of those reclining ones. So I feel like I'm almost sitting on the floor. My legs are kicking the table. That might have happened too. Oh, sweet Jesus. Hold on a second. Okay. Oh, fuck. God damn it. I'm trying, people. I'm sorry. Technical difficulties live.
This is probably why we don't get too many guests in this podcast, and they hear about shit like this going on. Like, well, we're not even amateur; we're sub-amateur with this kind of stuff going on.
No, we never have issues like this. It's just okay. Well, I think he's still okay. Oh dear God, I don't even know what's going on.
Thank God William Stout wasn't here for all this fiasco.
Well, we've never had this kind of issue with guests. Oh my God, what the hell? Now I only got my fucking head. So, God damn it. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, wait, there. I think that's.
He's like Nathan at the movie theater.
Yeah. Hey, oh yeah, we're not bringing that up anymore.
Oh my God, I don't even know what the hell has happened. I can't see nothing. Okay,
All right, I'm
go.
going to go back to my movie now. Joe, I hope everything's good.
It is. It's
All right.
I'm sorry. I don't even know where you're at. I can't see anything of what you're saying, as the mirror is just completely out of focus. But
well, you should be able to hear what I'm saying, not see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can hear you at least. Yeah, go ahead.
Fans of Power Patreon to help Joe get better equipment. That's
we
what
may
we're
have to do that. You know, you may get like a free Polaroid or autograph of Joe or something like that. Yeah, because I'm sure Joe's got like a couple of like Polaroid cameras still lingering around from the early '90s. You know, it probably falls apart upon use to like he clicks it to take a picture and like it just kind of falls in half.
Oh Christ!
You know?
Everybody tells
and then
me
he's got to
like,
customize it to put it back with some duct tape. And
I should, because everybody says, "Why don't you just get one of those stands that holds your tablets or phones? Just get one of those stands."
Didn't Doug say he was going to send you something like that?
You know, I honestly can't remember. Oh Jesus, man! All right, well, I cut you off with my follies, and well, at least everybody in the chat room got a kick out of that, but. Ooh, sorry about that. God, talk about making me sweat. Now I didn't have a chance to make a new mask, so I still have my old mask that's falling apart. I'll have a new
it's
one
got mildew stains on it and everything.
Mildew stains, sweat stains. It's just completely. Go ahead, Tyler. Where were you? You were speaking of the documentary, and you said how. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I just say that when it does come out on Netflix, or you're awaiting your copy, or just can't wait to see it in whatever form or fashion, it's well worth the wait because it treats the property with the utmost respect, dignity, and inadvertently gives several, or I'd say 24 middle fingers to the Netflix series, The Toys That Made Us. So If you enjoyed it, I pity you. If you didn't enjoy it and you share what me and Joe felt about it, you will get what you deserve, is a documentary that treats He-Man and She-Ra with the greatest levels of dignity it possibly could get. So
I can't wait to see it. I definitely can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it makes you feel good to be it makes you proud to be a He-Man fan. They really did a good job. I mean, the stuff on the movie was just was exceptionally good. And they touch on New Adventures, they touch on 2000X and things like that. So it's just fun. It's what we deserve. It's what we need.
Good. All right. Well, definitely to have Masters of the Universe, Princess of Power, New Adventures represented in a good light, not being mocked in any ways.
They don't mock New Adventures, but they do address that it just did not have the impact that they were hoping for. The changes that were made in it and things like that. Mainly, they discuss the toy line. They really don't touch on the cartoon. I mean, the cartoon is mentioned and shown briefly, but it's kind of similar to like the Ninja Turtles documentary that they did as well, where they focus mainly on the creation, the evolution, and getting the toy line going, how hot it was, getting to the movie, and then they don't focus a great deal on the decline so much, which, I mean, to me, that's one of the interesting things I'd like to know about. And they do touch a little bit more and kind of give you a few more ideas as to what led to the big decline and drops in sales in the 80s toy line as well. But that's kind of how this was. Like, they really focuses a lot on the positive stuff. They do touch on the problems and the decline issues, but not to a great extent, much like with the Turtles one. They don't, whereas in the Turtles documentary, they don't focus a whole lot on dwindling sales, the lackluster response to like Turtles 3 and things like that. It's just they focus on more of the success than why it, took a nosedive later on. So, which is fine. But, I like to know all the ins and outs of it. And, hopefully with the special features and the extra footage, that we'll have some more details on that kind of stuff.
Oh, definitely. Well. And for those who, who didn't, back Kickstarter, they will be able to see it on Netflix this month. So they'll get to see all that greatness too. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to seeing it as well. But, okay, what I was going to say before we get into our topics, I was just thinking, I cannot think of any news as for anything for toy-wise. I thought that maybe the only little thing for people who are little collectors of stuff, I think possibly they were going to work on a Skeletor variant of a Halo Mega Construx figure. If I'm saying that right, I might absolutely be wrong, but I was just trying to think of anything relevant of something new. That's all I can really think of. But
I was going to say, and I believe PowerCon is next weekend, so hopefully I'm saying that right. We've been promoting PowerCon on here, and I don't know, drawing a blank on the date. But with that coming up, hopefully we'll have some news from Mattel. And hopefully we'll have some reveals from Super 7 on the collector's line.
Yeah, I think possibly it was in 2 weeks. I couldn't remember if it was the 25th or 26th. Again, don't quote me, but I'm sure somebody in the chat.
No, not next weekend. No, because when it happens, it's it's right when you're right.
So we'll be hearing stuff soon. And Delvis78, thank you for joining us as well. I wanted to acknowledge you there. But, well, I guess, now we can transition to one of the topics. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have got the big newspaper comic strip book, that was put out from Dark Horse. But it basically takes almost every one of the comics that was in the newspapers back in the day and put it into one. Yeah, there you go. You say what it is so people can see it and it'll show up.
Well, I just laid set the book down. You didn't acknowledge it, and then it's like 10 seconds later. All right, everybody see this? Everyone getting this all right?
There you go. So that's the big mega book, and I know there was a couple strips that were missing from that. And of course, this story that we're going to talk about is Vengeance of the Viper King. Now, that I had a one piece of that, just one piece of that comic. And it was from the Sunday ones back in the day. And it was when I seen a weird-looking King Hiss that was more kind of just reptilian, a completely different face. He was all green. He had a red cape. He was mentioning of this Sarsadon, this big world destroyer with some big snake or something. I was going, well, my God, what could this be? And I always wished I could have got, more of those comics. Never did. Well, now I get to see this story because this story is focusing all of that of King Hiss. And we get to see Squeeze, and you get to see Snakeface as well in a different kind of looked like you didn't really get a good look at him. And when you did see Snakeface, it was kind of like just, I don't know, a little off to me. But it's still a good story. Now, the thing I don't know, which maybe possibly Grimbot in the chat room would mention, I don't know if this story, if this is something that maybe, like, let's say in a perfect world, Filmation continued, could they have used those ideas and it would have went into the Filmation cartoon? Or was this obviously was just always strictly meant just for the comics and that was it? Because I would love the thought of King Hiss finally showing up, and along with Squeeze and seeing Snakeface, and possibly the other Snake Men that were with the Horde would come back with him. I don't know what they had planned.
And looking at it too, that was something I was thinking, that if season 3 had gone through, we've seen it done, multiple times in like King of the Snake Men mini comic, and God, there was another story we mentioned too, where Tongue Lasher and Rattler are working for the Horde, but here they address this again, that they're drawn back to Snake Mountain to release King Hiss. So I'd like to think that if we'd gotten season 3, this is probably something what we would have gotten, because we see Tongue Lasher and Rattler show up in Skeletor's ranks
with a different color.
With a different look, different color, and then Rattler shows up in the Christmas special. Tongue Lash shows up in the episode that we'll be discussing later on tonight as Skeletor's henchman. So it didn't feel like that was a bit of a stretch, but when you see a Horde logo, it's a bit confusing. But here, they clearly show that Tongue Lasher and Rattler are coming from Etheria, pretty much. And like with Cobra Khan,
like you could give them the quick premise of how this started with this crazy storm that was going on, and
it's like this magnetic storm. And even that, I'm not quite sure. How that. It causes this eruption, and a dimensional portal opens up in Snake Mountain, and Tongue Lasher and Rattler show up through it, and they just proceed to walk through the catacombs of Snake Mountain, and Cobra Khan's drawn to it too. They don't kind of explain what it is at first, and Skeletor follows him to these levels of Snake Mountain that he's never even been to before, and they go to this corridor. I guess that's pretty much how I can describe it.
Because aren't they basically like under even a trance? They're not even acknowledging Skeletor.
It's like they're just drawn. They're ignoring Skeletor. It's like Rattler and Tongue Lasher felt this, I guess, mental presence, and they put him in a hypnosis, and somehow they took a dimensional gate and found their way back into Snake Mountain. And I guess as they walk in, Cobra Khan feels it as well, which I'm like, I didn't like Cobra Khan being essentially like, just because he's a Snake Man. Like, I just like to think that not all Snake Men are part of King Hiss's Snake Men. But anyway, that's just a small nitpick. Anyway, Cobra Khan is drawn to it, and there's this falcon, which I took it as, birds, are predators to snakes. So there's this falcon guarding this doorway in Snake Mountain. It's removed due to Skeletor trying to stop them, as I'm looking at it right here. And the falcon is removed, and King Hiss comes out of his crypt, and he looks like the King Hiss that we know, but uses his very cool looking snake staff that I felt
like that.
He should have got that as an act with the action figure, and transforms into a different snake. So, because I wonder, when I was looking at this, I'm like, okay, I always remember Joe showing me the strip of how King Hiss looks in his snake form, which clearly is different. He looks more like Lord Grasp that we just got from Super 7. And I thought, it kind of made me wonder, like, I wonder if they used, the concept drawings of Lord Grasp, or maybe this version was a possible look for King Hiss, or maybe they just drew it because it was a lot simpler to draw snake form King Hiss like this, as opposed to all the snakes, around his torso and his arms.
Which is a possibility, because I was going to say, Grimbot in the chat room said, he said at the end of the book, he said there's a script excerpt that Chris Webber implied that a lot of something was being in the works in 1985. And he said back then, apparently, Thornton did sketches which were used for Hiss here. So then there must have been, so that look that we see of King Hiss with that red cape and more of the green look and the weird reptile face was possibly, obviously, what he might have looked like in Filmation, and they kind of used it for this comic then. So,
And I'd have been fine with that because, obviously, everybody's has King Hiss has a very distinct look, but given that Tongue Lasher has been given such a drastic look, not because we just want to be different, but because Filmation was going by the concepts of the character. I think we could all buy this as King Hiss's version in season 3 of She-Ra.
Yeah, and also, no, there was a slight little delay. Again, of course,
okay.
That's my great technology, but no, because people have always wondered. I mean, I'm sure we would have probably had him look just like he did with his human type look before he would transform into the evil looking snake. But you're right, it would have probably been, from what Grimbot said and logically from what we're seeing in the comics, easier to draw that than drawing all the snakes on the arms constantly moving and waving and the front snake and all that. It probably would have been too much to go from that shedding skin, which could have been possibly even frightening looking in She-Ra, or even if they would have went to He-Man with it. So instead, a magical transformation, bam, you go from human looking to bam, this green reptilian looking one. Yeah, because Delvis, what we're talking about is they had back in the day, they had newspaper comics for Masters of the Universe, and it was here in the United States, and I can't remember how long it lasted, and again, people can correct me, but I believe it stopped here and continued in other countries, and it went on for a good amount of years, which then now, through the hard work of so many people within the Masters of the Universe community, they gathered all the comics that they could find to then do this project with Dark Horse to give you a gigantic monster of a book, which Tyler showed you, the big cover of. But that could still be found through Amazon and other places. You can get that monster. It's an amazing piece. But they have a lot of stories, and obviously that's what we're speaking of here is this particular one. It's the second story in the book, which is Vengeance of the Viper.
Yeah, and I mean, just to plug it before we continue on with the rest of the story, I mean, there's stories that are devoted to Ninjor, Blade. Yeah. They go as far into New Adventures as well.
Even the movie, right?
The movie is used heavily. The looks and stuff like that. I mean, they do and the stories are written seriously. They're not done for. I mean, occasionally, like Skeletor's given a comedic line of dialogue. You just kind of like, but not. It's nothing that makes you feel like, oh my god, this is like season 2 or the latter part of season 2 Filmation. The tone of the stories are all very serious. The characters are portrayed very serious. There's a lot of fighting going on. And the stories, they're not short stories. Like these comic strips would go on for, I mean, they're several pages long. They're not short, concise stories. These are long, drawn out stories and give you
good. And yeah.
Yes, they are good. Yes, very good.
And to get to, like you said, the characters that maybe we didn't get much of, like you said, when you're speaking of a Ninja or even tying New Adventures in the movie and everything together, you're going to get quite a bit. This is probably one of the most well worth purchases of something you could ever have, because while it's something old, it's something new, because almost nobody remembers these damn comics. Like I said, they were short ran here in the United States. They went to other countries, but even in other countries, a lot of people don't remember them. There weren't many. It's the thing. Not many kids would look at the newspaper, and if you did, yes, you'd kind of look at the comics, but not even a lot of kids went to the Sunday comics or the daily comics. It's just something that maybe people didn't do. And a parent, they usually look right through and throw the shit away real quick. But I was a pack rat. If I'd seen something that caught my eye, obviously I seen He-Man, I got excited. But yeah, I was only just lucky enough to have that one that I kept from my childhood, along with 3 others that were way before this. They were part of a different thing of promoting kind of like the DC comics when they were coming out way back then. So that's a whole different thing. But no, I mean, these things are amazing, especially, see, then you wonder about other stories, meaning, okay, in MYP, we see, Serpos, how the snake that was around Snake Mountain came to life, and you had Serpos, the big, the king, the snake god or whatever. And then you see in here, though, it's Sarsadon that's around Snake Mountain and comes to life. So I always thought, well, did MYP, they find like maybe one of those old comics and knew about it, or is it just a coincidence?
Probably. I think it's just something. I'm sure, because when you look at Snake Mountain, you'd like to think that.
Isn't it cool though, just to think? Because I'm sure a lot of people thought, man, look at what MYP did. They revolutionized something. They made a new story. It's like, well, no, it was actually done back in the 80s.
It was done a long time ago, and I like this portrayal better. I don't like how He-Man defeats him. Because which I'm like, okay, look, this is not Medusa here, people. It just, but that would be my only minor gripe about it. Because other than that, 97% of this story is pretty well done. I mean, everything from, it's actually, I mean, because as I was reading it, a lot of it I could see as a possible He-Man episode of King Hiss unleashing hordes of snakes on the Royal Palace, and everybody at the Royal Palace from He-Man, Orko, Blast,
Can I
Tila,
ask you
Queen
something?
Marlena. What?
Were you, by chance, and this helps me sometimes read it quicker, were you hearing the voices of Filmation characters as you're reading? Like, you know,
Always. Like
okay,
anytime
yeah.
I read, yeah, always. I mean, because a lot of this is Filmation inspired. When you look at Cringer, Adam, Rand, I'm looking at panels of Randor and Marlene. I mean, they're very Filmation inspired. And you know, if you love Filmation in general, I mean, most of the characters, Skeletor is drawn with a little bit more detail, which he looks pretty damn menacing throughout these, and even in the first one that we did with the Rock Warriors. And I like King Hiss's portrayal in this. You know, he comes off as a dominant figure, like he's not quickly dismissed. Skeletor tags along with him, and he launches a horde of snakes at the Royal Palace, and then goes after Grayskull with these two giant, you know, lizards, so to speak. And I really like this panel here because I could see Filmation doing this. Is when he confronts King Hiss face to face, and he steps on this like swamp log and sends King Hiss flying backwards. Like, as in terms of like, you know, action and fighting, I could see Filmation using
That's a
that.
Filmation thing. Yeah.
But it looks good though. Like the shot is drawn very well. Like, I could easily see Filmation using that.
And that's the comic that I own. That is the only comic I own, is of that one that you're speaking of. I have that.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I like how Skeletor was drawn, like the shadowing around his eye sockets and everything. It looked pretty badass. And it's just it's a fun. I mean, the Snake Men, I feel like overall they're shortchanged, but they really were given a lot of material to promote them a lot from the mini comics and, you know, these comic strips and promotional items. They weren't shortchanged, but for some reason, I just always feel like the Snake Men, they're not as celebrated, I guess, as you might say. The Horde is heavily celebrated. The Evil Warriors are, the Great Rebellion, He-Man, the Heroic Wars. But
I think the reason being is a good impression of a lot of people from Masters of the Universe and Princess of Power came from the cartoons. A lot of them remember the cartoons sometimes even more than the comics and toys. I mean, you and I and a lot of others, you know, remember it all. And that ain't saying, you know, oh, well, look what we know. No, because there's a lot of stuff we don't. But a lot of people that I speak with, they just remember the cartoon. And I think that since the Snake Men weren't really represented, and I'm not counting Tongue Lasher and Ratlore on the Horde, I mean the actual Snake Men being in the cartoon King Hiss, there's a kind of a disconnect because a lot of people said, oh, I really didn't collect the line when I got it to, you know, a little bit later on, so I never got the Snake Men. And unfortunately, you're right, they get shortchanged and they aren't celebrated, as you said, as much. They, you know, got it from the beginning, and, you know, I mean, when MYP came out, then we got them, but then we get the Horde. But no, it would have been great because I think if they were shown in the cartoon, more people probably would know of them and speak of them more and have great memory.
But probably not in the best of light. I mean, it's not like,
but still more than what they are.
I mean, more, but I mean, I still feel like, you know, I mean, all of us, I'm sure would love to have seen it, but I just, based on how comedic that Filmation was making the villains at that time, I don't feel like King Hiss would have been much of a threat. He would have been kind of you know, and it's good that MYP, even though I hate how they were portrayed a lot of the time, but they looked great. The voices were great. The visuals are great. The characters themselves, of course, Snakeface got shortchanged so fast. God, it still pisses me off.
Of course, my favorite, but they had to knock him out quick because he was too damn powerful. So,
but even then, I felt like that. You know, you could have written your way around that. You didn't have to just, you know, immediately just get. I don't know. It just felt like it was such a waste, and I felt like they could have done a better job.
I was angry because I waited years to see Snakeface in some form, and I finally got him because he's my favorite Snake Man. So when he appears, like, oh my god, and yeah, when he turned himself to stone, I was like, there we go. There went that.
But yeah, and I just love to have seen, you know, them treated a lot more. But a story like this, and unfortunately, a lot of the book media or print media, I'll just put it that way, gave the Snake Man a lot of good, you know, good stories because the mini comics, there was a lot of good stories. This is just one of many good stories featuring the Snake Men. And I like how they use the Horde look of Tongue Lasher in this. Like, that's clearly, Ratlore doesn't look anything like Ratlore.
But even in these comics, they even gave them a different color scheme than even the cartoon or toys, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like Tongue Lash is drawn with green skin, I believe. Let me just double check here.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
was green. And,
Yeah. Yeah. He's given green skin, and Rattler is just kind of drawn, not looking like, it looks like kind of like your
generic warrior, generic
yeah,
snake.
he's green with red, with like maroon trunks, and that's it. There's nothing reminiscent of Filmation or the action figure. Whereas at least with Tongue Lasher, you know it's him because he's wearing the black armor with the Horde bat. That's how you know it's Tongue Lasher. He's got green skin. I mean, it looks cool. That's a cool visual, the dark green skin with the Horde logo. But
yeah, because they even had a lot of crazy. Yeah, they had a lot of crazy color errors. It's just like Grimbot was saying, color errors. Yeah, they definitely had plenty of them within the comic. It doesn't detract from anything you're looking at.
No.
Oh, I did want to say one quick thing about Snakeface and MYP. He did get to turn a lot of people to stone, though, so he got to show what he was doing, at least, for a bit before he got.
And he did that, but I also felt like, you know what? They didn't have to have him use his gimmick that much. Like when you see him in combat, the guy clearly can fight without having to use the snakes because he's skilled in martial arts. I mean, the way he's kicking and stuff like that. I'm not saying he's a martial arts master.
He'd be scary, man. That would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's scary.
And that's it. I mean, it's almost like someone like, you don't like a great heel wrestler. You don't have him use the finisher. I mean, like constantly over and over and over again because it no longer becomes a finisher. You have the heel wrestler use a wide variety of holds and grapples and attacks. And then when you're ready for the big finish, the snakes come out of his face and then turns into stone. That's why I felt like they could have kept Snakeface going for several episodes before they decided to ultimately turn him to stone.
It's like ending the movie quick, It's like you start a movie off, bam, every stone, it's like it's over. Like, wow, that was quick. But it's still slow as hell. But I know what you mean. Sometimes the build-up is great.
Well, because, we don't see him again till, is it Rattle of the Snake, I think, when Rattler's locked up and he gets broken out, but they make a point of showing you Snakeface's statue, like, as if like, okay, do you have plans to bring him back, or is that just your way of nodding? Oh yeah, remember that one Snake Man? Hey, yeah, he's still locked up and he's in stone. He ain't going anywhere. I'm like, great. I didn't like that at all, and I still don't like that.
No, I know, but it's a great story if you have never read. Like I said, you guys got to get this damn book. Like I said, you find it Amazon, other places, you can still order it. You have to, because it's not going to be coming up like in a week or two, but we're going to get to the next story, and the next story is going to, I think, feature Ninjor, correct?
Ninjor, yeah.
Yes. So now we get some more of Ninjor. It's like you get to get a lot of respect for the characters that didn't get much, especially obviously in the cartoons. Ones did get it, like you said, plenty of comics from the mini comic Star Comics and UK stuff. They've been in things, but it's always good to have more of those characters that you didn't get enough of, because I always wanted more of them, that later line.
Well, and really, too, I mean, I feel like there's a wide variety of not just the 86, 87 wave of guys, but, I mean, as we've seen, Jitsu, Clawful, Spike-Ore.
Oh, and Tyler, could you show and say the book, because Delvis78 wanted to see it. He doesn't know what it is, but he's probably going to try to order it.
All right. This is what it looks like, and you can just find this on Amazon. That's the easiest place to find it.
And what's the exact title, so he knows the exact title?
The He-Man and the Master of the Universe, the newspaper comic strips. It's published by Dark Horse. And just type it in your Amazon search engine. It should come right up, along with the comic book collection and James Talk's book on the He-Man She-Ra cartoon series as well. So you'll see probably a few Dark Horse releases, but it's got He-Man on the cover from the newspaper strip. That's what it looks like. It's available right now, so I suggest anybody who doesn't own it. It's got a lot of great. I mean, I'll show you just how thick this book is.
It's big.
I mean, that's how thick this book is, of just stories that a lot of people, and like myself, I had never seen these other than what Joe had told me about in the past. So all these are just new adventures for everybody to check out. I mean, it's all serious stories, nothing silly, nothing campy. Maybe a remark here and there, but nothing that takes you out of the moment of the stories that you're reading.
And you hear die quite a few times. Like I said, so.
Yeah, no, everything's taken seriously, and that's why it's so disheartening where everyone felt like, oh my God, we got to tone this down. Like, we know you're not going to have He-Man decapitating people, but you know, but hell, it didn't stop him from being a juggernaut. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah, and I always tell people it's like even back in the day, where everybody thinks it was all corniness, all silly or campy. I always bring up another book that I love. And we've discussed it before. Maybe one day I'll show the big cover of that. But the Sunbird Legacy back in the day.
Oh yes,
that is still that is one of the biggest. It actually is the biggest book of any of the books that they had in the United States back then. I'm not saying anything for UK or anywhere else because I don't want to be wrong and say wait, they had something more. But as for in the United States, it's the biggest book they had. A fantastic story, and you also do get to see He-Man decapitate a snake in the Sunbird Legacy with red blood flying everywhere. So He-Man did some killing back then. So it wasn't always sugar coated and everything, rainbows and gumdrops. I mean, there was some violence back then in the day. So yeah, that's something you guys got to check out too. The Sunbird Legacy. If you never got it, great book from Golden Book. You can probably find that sucker on eBay.
But and if you don't want to buy it, you can check it on He-Man.org. You can read the whole thing on there for free. But exactly. We did do an episode long ago. We did cover the Sunbird Legacy when we were just doing strictly audio. So if you want to dig really far back, it's not on YouTube. You'd have to go to Podbean or on iTunes. I mean, because it's probably like in the first, 20, 30, 40, 50 episodes.
And it's always something that could always be revisited with a fresh new take. I mean, every time.
It definitely. I mean, we covered so many things back then, but I mean, I know I definitely want to get back to covering Jitsu again, cover Fisto again, cover Clamp Champ again, Manny Faces again. I was trying to think of some of the episodes. What else we covered back then? I think a lot of the stuff we did back in those early episodes were a couple of mini comic reviews and character discussions. But, that's the fun stuff. I mean, we don't always have time to go. I mean, I'm sure if me and Joe wanted to, we could devote a full episode to just talking about Jitsu and nothing else. Like no commentaries, no mini comic discussions, just strictly a character. So that's why, at some point, we will go back and revisit Jitsu. I think maybe we even have revisited Jitsu, but hell, he's such a fun character for me. Like I would do it a third time. And it's amazing what me and Joe just come up with when we do go back and revisit something. You're like, we come up with, we did do Jitsu, I think, because I remember coming up with a couple of ideas for him. Yeah.
No, anyway, but there's times where we revisited something, and like you said, we'll completely go in a whole nother direction. We're inventing new stories, and it happens quite a bit. It seems like. I
know. It's just, I tell you, man. I'm hoping we're gonna get that call, and we'll pick up our landline, like as a dramatic reenactment, and somebody's gonna say, you know what, boys, I've listened to your all's podcast. We need your ideas. We need your determination. We need your energy. We need your strength, and we need you guys to come up with these wonderful ideas, put it into paper, and and then we're off and running, and then we're doing press junkets and stuff. What's that?
It would always be a dream. Something like
I just hope after I was so upset about missing the opportunity to be on the special features. I really couldn't be that upset looking back in hindsight because I'm on this podcast with one of my best friends, talking He-Man every single week. So I'm getting to contribute to He-Man on a weekly basis. So, I apologize.
To have all these, like I said, and having all the great people in the chat room that join us and have the feedback and everything. It's always fun. It's just like hanging out with, like you said, a bunch of your friends. Not only us just talking, but everybody that's here. That's what just makes it so damn fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're very fortunate that we've gone as far as we have. People like what we have to say. They don't, Joe and I aren't attacked by people for our viewpoints on the new She-Ra cartoon, or that we love the live action movie, or that I think Azrael and Spider are heavily underrated characters. It's pretty cool that each week we come out with our thoughts and opinions. And I'd say for the most part, not that we're saying everybody agrees with us when they listen to us.
No,
we just don't say anything that warrants people to take time to send us ugly remarks where they think we suck. Well, Joe may get something like that random.
Yeah, I got a sweet one. Yeah, I can't repeat it. And for earlier in the show, I apologize when I cursed. I was freaking out. I didn't know what's happening with everything. I was dropping stuff. But yeah, I won't repeat what I said when I got a message randomly today from somebody, and then they just blocked me immediately. I couldn't even be mad. I was actually laughing. I was like, where did that come from? It was just one of the weirdest messages you could get on Facebook. And then after that, like I said, I sent a message back to the person inquiring about, what made them say that. And then they blocked me and disappeared. So that was interesting, but it happens. Like I said, yeah.
I mean, it's, I'm like, how come no one's ever like cuss me out or sent me something like, I hate how you always talk about Azog and Spider. They suck, man. Or man, Clan Champ is lame. Or come. I was like, how? I guess I just haven't reached that level of celebrity that Joe Amato has, where
people hate me. Wow, I don't know.
Well, no. Well, you're getting both. I feel like you really are making a statement when someone just says, "I hate your customs. You go to hell. You go to hell and you die." It's not what the guy said, but
Yeah, this guy contacted me this morning. I read a message. Sorry, kids, you can bleep for something, but the message was he seen my Rocky custom I did, a vintage one, which was a commission for a customer. And he said, yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool custom that you did of Rocky. He said, but I'm sick of seeing your customs. And he says, fuck you and fuck your customs. Or I'm sorry, fuck your customs and fuck you. And then that was it. And I was like, what? I was just looking at the screen like, what? I didn't know what to do. So I typed, I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, why would you say this to me? What made you contact me to say this? And then immediately block gone there. So, but I was just floored. I was like, what the hell did I do? I was like, all my customs, F them all. So sorry, kids that were listening, but that was a doozy for me today.
Yeah, it kind of makes you put it in perspective, though. Like when you see celebrities that are on social media and they post something, and yet people that follow them, but they just want to stop and make a lot of negative remarks and stuff like that. And you think, if you're LeBron James or you're Tom Brady or, any other athlete, or you're an actor, on social media, or a comedian, and you post something and people come after you for it, but people are also praising you for it, and you see all those negative remarks, you like wonder, like, I just posted a picture of me with my son eating ice cream. People are saying, you're a shitty father, or something like that. And you just kind of makes you wonder, like, I'm all right. It makes no sense. And obviously that this guy with, obviously balls big enough to come in a dump truck, what a tough SOB.
Yeah.
But for him to decide, I'm going to wake up Sunday morning, I'm just in the mood to send that Joe Amato guy a big F-bomb, and hoping, it'll blow up in his face. It'll be great. So I'll compliment him and then drop 1, 2, 3, boom. Oh man, I'm the best in the world. He's as tough as Clubber Lang.
Yeah, it's just wow. It was a dude. Like I said, I couldn't even be mad. But hey JSP, thanks for joining us. I don't know if I acknowledged you, but so that was that. But later, like I said, our last part of the show, we're gonna obviously take a lot of questions from you guys, whatever you want to ask us. But now we're gonna go into a commentary to a pretty good episode that Tyler's been wanting to do for a while. So you tell him what to do, where to go, and how to do it, and we can set this up.
Yeah, the episode "Gateway to Trouble" from the She-Ra Princess of Power series is available on YouTube. Just type it in. I'm watching it off of iTunes purchase I made a good while back. All I'm going to do is just count down from 3, and we'll all hit play together. 3, 2, 1, play. And the main reason I really wanted to do this because, the episode itself is not bad, but I just love Modulok being the star of this episode and the continuity of carrying over the fact that, yes, and because, my co-host is Joe Locke. Yes, that was the main reason I wanted to do it, just so we could just plug the hell out of your mask.
There you go, plug this dirty mask.
Yes.
I like
dirty,
it because anytime
stained mask.
Dirty, stained, stanky, worn out mask that one day, like I said, that's why I gotta get rid of. It's gonna fall off when I'm doing the show live, and I don't want that happening. But no, anytime you got to see He-Man and Skeletor and She-Ra and Hordak all together, that was always a great episode for me. You love to see them, having their little crossover times. That's when I got into it.
It was, and I remember I rented this in 5th grade on VHS at the King Video that had the biggest library of He-Man and She-Ra tapes I've ever seen in my life. And this was my first time ever seeing Modulok in the cartoon, and seeing the tape of him running, and She-Ra's there on the cover, and it just blew my mind to see Modulok in action. And when I saw
it, this was your first time ever seeing Modulok? Was in this for this episode?
Well, yeah, I'd seen like pictures of him and stuff like that, like on the back in the mini comics, but didn't know a whole lot about him. And I'd see pictures of him on the internet, I think, or no, I saw this first. So it was a big deal to see him in action because I just seen the figure and didn't even have the mini comic. And I did know at the time that he was a former evil warrior, and I thought seeing him there with Skeletor, like, oh my god, this is like Tongue Lash, because I do remember maybe this wasn't 5th grade, maybe this was a little bit later, because I remember seeing the picture of Tongue Lash from this episode on the internet, on the early Adam Tyner website. And I thought, that's Tongue Lasher? What the hell? It made no sense to me. So when I saw this, I was like, oh. And but
so what, Tongue Lasher appear in about 6 episodes of She-Ra? Maybe,
yeah, I think his first episode was Book Burning. I think him and Rattler show up at the same time in that episode.
Was it a little confusing to see him? Well, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, well, first, just to let people know what's going on, yeah, we're seeing that they're waiting for Adam to come through a portal. But now here,
so we're giving a little bit of an action sequence here to kind of not just be. We're going to start things off with a little bit of fun action here with Cal, running or tricking some Horde troopers here.
Not only just fun action, but powerful action. You get to see She-Ra, Princess of Power, powerful woman. I don't know. I just hate when people say, well, the old She-Ra, I just don't get it. And
they can go to hell. God, I'm sick and tired. It's like clearly it's like people who want to sit there, never watch the cartoon, don't get what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
I just have no patience for people who you want to act like the source material, but they're trying to talk their way into believing that. Well, they clearly don't, so they're going to disguise as best they can.
Go back and watch the cartoons, and you'll see you have a very powerful woman, and it was
a beautiful woman at that too, not a very unappealing, unattractive design.
Just to show again her strength, like I said, how she'll easily do this when it comes to these Horde troopers. I mean, she's not only spinning them, but on her one finger. I mean, it's just showing. That's a weak woman, and just flings the Horde troopers right in the damn little swamp pits. What I like though is right here, the Horde troopers thought that Cal did it. They thought the bird did it or something. Like, how we can tell Hordak? I got a kick out of it. They thought Cal did that to them.
And I always enjoyed the Horde troopers banter when I was a kid. Like, I mean, looking at it as an adult, I mean, yeah, it's silly at times, but I always liked it. I always enjoyed giving the Horde troopers a little bit of a personality because it'd be kind of monotonous with them all talking the same and not really reacting to much.
Do you like them more as robots or people wearing suits? What do you like?
Strictly robots. If they were to here we are at Snake Mountain. It just this just like boom right there, like no transition, just boom, Snake Mountain, and there
I love when you see it turn. And then here, this is what kind of confused me. Was there any explanation of why Tongue Lash was there with Skeletor when?
No, and this episode's done by Michael J. Straczynski, one of the more prominent writers on She-Ra. And Book Burning is an episode that happens before this. So it's one of those things that you kind of feel like they were almost as if like maybe Michael was aware that, well, Tongue Lash is a Snake Man. Why do we have him with the Horde? And I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, because it always got me. I was just a little confused, thinking, wait a second. I mean, I thought he was with Rattler, now he's with the Horde, but what's he doing with Skeletor? Because I know, like you said, at least this is a bit of where they show somewhat continuity of knowing, well, Modulok here is eventually going to want to leave and try to join the Horde. But they didn't give an explanation of Tongue Lash. It was just...
No, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, really, it probably should have been like, Cobra Khan there or something like that, because if you're following continuity, Rattler and Tongue Lasher, they kind of join it with the Horde after King Hiss's so-called demise. Modulok, for those who don't know, is shown Happy Birthday Roboto in Mistaken Identity, and that's the big continuity episode where we're shown that Modulok wants to join up with Skeletor, but is rejected because he thinks he's a scientist. Then you see him and hear there's Skeletors everywhere, and a cameo, part of the Evil Warriors. And now this is setting up Modulok's eventual AWOL with the Evil Warriors to join the Horde, as we would all know him to be. But it's mentioned in the Modulok mini comic that he's a turncoat on Skeletor, and I love this about.
I love how he freaked out Sprocker.
Oh yeah, too. Yeah,
poor Sprocker. Yeah. Sprocker's just going along doing something, and Skeletor is this.
He enjoys it. Yeah, he laughs at it.
Yep. Oh, and if there's people wondering why we keep saying Tongue Lash in this episode, it's because that's what he was referred to in this episode. Because I even think there was an episode where he was just called Tongue as well.
There's Tongue. There's Tongue Lasher. There's Tongue Lash. It changed. it's one of those things too that if you're not aware of it, there were so many things evolving with the He-Man cartoon, the She-Ra cartoon, based on toy concepts and character designs and stuff like that.
And there goes Modulok. He's taken the gateway that he created. He figures, you know what? I'm going to try to work for somebody that maybe will appreciate me. So he runs through, goes through the gate, and he takes his gate maker with him. And of course, Skeletor to follow him.
And this is something that me and Joe had touched on before. This is what I would love to see in a brand new incarnation of He-Man, where Modulok would be really building up Skeletor's forces and get tired of his shit, so to speak, and decides to go help Hordak just to piss him off. And that's where technology would be heavily influenced. Is that Hordak befriends Modulok. Modulok shows him the benefits of using technology, and he becomes consumed with creating, Horde troopers that aren't armed by men in suits. He creates Dylamug, he creates Multibot and Dragstore.
And there we go. I always love this side by side.
Hell yeah, man.
I used to go nuts when I'd see She-Ra do it and then He-Man do it, and they go back and forth, back and forth. I was like, damn, this is so cool seeing the twins of power transforming together. That was such a cool moment.
Cutting back and forth between the transformations is epic as hell.
It is.
And to me, I was so fascinated by She-Ra's transformation as a kid, like with the shot of her in Grayskull and the orange sparks and the swirling magic. Like, it just looked beautiful. I just was mesmerized as a kid watching that.
Because hers was drastically different, unlike, where it was just Adam, boom, to He-Man. It was basically the same image. You've seen She-Ra turn in new flowing hair, a different whole look. She had a drastic change. But here we go. He's got something special just for She-Ra, which, here comes the thing that's just for her. And of course she blocks that thing and reflects it, and then He-Man deflects it. I just like that he had some kind of little magic bolt that he said special just for her. Like, boy, she must have really been on Skeletor's mind.
I mean, I'd like to think too that, obviously throughout the series, Skeletor does come to Etheria, to keep crossing paths. But also, like, probably on multiple occasions that Skeletor has fought She-Ra. And I'm sure too, even if it wasn't too many times, like just what happened in Secret of the Sword, where She-Ra comes in and kicks all their asses, I'm sure he was never going to forget that.
Oh heck no! A female version of He-Man, or however he said, I guess, that's going to be in his head because he's already got a foot of He-Man, and now he's got another He-Man, just a female version.
Yeah.
So that's got to really screw with his head. The other thing I wonder if it's not to sidetrack really, but. I love when her sword can turn into absolutely everything, and I know I
don't. I like the rope and the shield, and that's it. I'm not a fan of anything else, though.
I know that they started going nuts with it later on, which was even mocked about sword to blanket or whatever it was, and they did that or some nonsense. But I still like that it can transform into other things, and I wonder if that's going to even be used in the upcoming Netflix one. Or
hell, I don't care because I'm not watching it.
There you go. Yeah, because I wonder, they're going to keep some of these things. She's still going to be empathetic. She's still going to be able to heal. But all right, now we get to go with
this. I love this. Mantana confronting Modulok, and Modulok saying, "I'm here to greet Hordak, and I have something."
Doesn't he look like Modulok just fits so damn perfect for the Horde? I mean, of course, yes, we have him as the toys, but cartoon,
I still like. I would love to have seen more of him working with Skeletor.
It would have been great. But he looks like
it'd have been awesome.
Yeah, he just looks so damn evil.
Oh, I do too, and because of Filmation, I really have fallen for the single-headed Modulok more than the double-headed Modulok. Like, I just would hope.
Oh no, definitely. I like this too.
Skeletor.
Here comes Spritina. Spritina's bringing up the Spoo. He's like, I hate Spoo. I don't like Spoo. I don't even know what Spoo is, but just to let you know, when I made a custom Spritina figure, I made a bowl of Spoo with that spoon from the custom. I don't even know what Spoo is. Just dismiss.
I like an animation of Skeletor dismissing her like that. That's really good animation.
He can't take this stuff no more. He's got to get out of here. I like that because no, this team up or something. I can't take this no more. He's got to do it himself. He's got to get the heck out of here.
And I would love to have seen, not for humorous purpose, but just seeing the character interaction of Skeletor hanging out with She-Ra and He-Man and around the Twiggets, and just seeing how they would interact with each other.
Because he got to go into Whispering Woods. Think of that. I mean, he had not many people get to go into Whispering Woods of being evil or the Horde that get that kind of right. So, I guess, at least for this team up or something, trusted him enough to take him into the Whispering Woods.
Well, and that's kind of one of those things you kind of, I mean, obviously for story's sake you have to, but it would just be fun to explore that idea of, because we've seen them work together, but it would just be fun to see He-Man and Skeletor interacting with each other, and She-Ra. Throw She-Ra into the mix. And,
Yes. Yes.
oh God, just seeing Modulok greet Hordak for the first time. This is a big moment here, people.
Yep. And all the characters with their multiple legs, you get to have a 3-legged against a 4-legged character.
I love Filmation Montana so much. I can't wait to get him in, and I can't wait to get Modulok Filmation in because I'm sure he's coming at some point too.
Yeah, oh God, and that's completely different, which would be, awesome.
God, it's just so cool, man. He's such a dominating looking figure, like a character that's depicted as a scientist. Now, this is something that I always did get behind. I've never been behind the idea of Triclops being a scientist. Modulok being a scientist, I just think is brilliant. I love that idea.
Yeah, because what was it, Galen Nightcroft, or what was his name as a human form?
Yeah, Galen Nightcroft in Mistaken Identity, which seems kind of an odd, like, shoehorned origin for him, but okay, whatever. And then he's partly Modulok, who was an imprisoned scientist and used the machine to turn himself into what we know as Modulok. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but...
It's just, man, how could somebody... I mean, even almost with a smile, it's so demented and evil looking. He's always been one of my favorite characters. Damn, I just love his look.
He is my favorite Horde member, hands down. Yeah, I love him so much.
Exactly. That's what I mean. God, if he would have been in MYP and all of them came, because he's a character that I never wanted any silliness from, because he looked too damn scary and demented and twisted. Just that look, that's a freaky sucker. I mean, he really is freaky looking.
And he was given a pretty good. His voice in Happy Birthday Roboto was all right. I liked it a lot in Mistaken Identity, even though that episode, it's a good episode, but the voice acting is pretty bad in it. And here we go.
You always love.
You know this was coming. We can't have a crossover without these two crossing paths.
Exactly. I mean, I love seeing anytime they'd have a fight. I mean, of course,
that's a cool shot as Hordak too. Very, very dominant.
I always like that. It just aimed up right there, and Skeletor called him some kind of, I don't know, making some reference to all of his like mechanics or just his whatever the hell he is. And then here he turns into, I always like seeing Hordak turn into so many things. There were so many different ones and forms, some goofier looking than others, but
that one I'm not a big fan of. I like the arm attachments and stuff like the buzzsaw and the cannon and stuff like that. I mean, some of them are like turning into like a small tank and things. I mean, sometimes it was all right, but sometimes I kind of felt like, all right, this is. I just felt like it makes Hordak too much, but
it does. But I like this at least, because Hordak's thinking Skeletor, ain't really having good aim, but Skeletor's trying to get him in perfect position to trap him in the cables and wires. So like, again, it shows, Skeletor ain't a nitwit. He knows what he's doing, even though that Hordak thought,
And I feel like, what, when you cross these guys over, you need to have them both be relatively equal. Like, I don't want to see one look more dominant than the other, or at least in one episode, I'd like to see Skeletor get the best of Hordak, and then the next episode when they cross paths, Hordak kicks his ass. Like,
just like when Hordak, because like Hordak shot that flame. Remember in that one episode, and then Skeletor turned into ice, and then Skeletor shot him, and then Hordak turned his one arm into a shield, and it was just a good tit for tat. Just going back and forth. I like that.
I'd like to see them as essentially equals, because Hordak did teach Skeletor everything he knows, but whereas Hordak pushes technology more, Skeletor focuses more on the sorcery aspect.
And basically, now you've seen what the whole plot was. Modulok wanted to show Hordak what he's all about, and now he's going to use this gate to open a gigantic gate to send just legions and tons of his forces to Eternia. So now you're finding out what is really going on.
God, Modulok. I just love the color scheme, like the green, the purple, the black, and the red on Modulok. God, he just looks so cool, so menacing.
It's so different from the toy, because you see the different type of armor design, the 3-leg design, and he is more beefier and not as lean as the toy was. Even though I love the hell out of the toy, it's one of my favorites too. But well, here we go. Now we're gonna have another little showdown here. And it was always love seeing Shadow Weaver. She's always got to be with Hordak. She's got to be. You got to see her doing something.
And she's always depicted so prominently too. Like she's always given good stuff to do. Even if she's not doing a whole lot in the episode, she's always taken seriously. I always loved the Horde tanks.
Oh, I did too. It looked weird from the front though, like in those angles.
Looks like sharks almost.
Yeah, but on the side, it definitely you could see. You're right. The like Hordak.
I guess. Destructo tanks, I think is what the technical term for them was. Destructo tanks. I think.
Are they the white one?
Destructo tanks, I think are different in color. Not the ones with the horde face. Because I'm thinking of the episode The Laughing Dragon, one of Joe's favorites.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Now we got the rope. At least the one that is one of the most prominent sword to something. Yeah. I did enjoy the sword to rope. I also like Skeletor was thinking about, man, maybe I should help She-Ra and He-Man defeat Hordak. And then he's like, no, I'll just watch him do it.
Yeah.
I guess he's relishing that more. But you figure if he would have helped, then yeah, maybe they would have defeated him quicker or did something else. But that's Skeletor. He's got
it's almost as if Skeletor from a proper storytelling standpoint, Jesus, would just assume hopefully one of these teams are going to not take care of the other one, and then he comes in and finishes them off. Like that's Skeletor. Like that's I wouldn't want to see Skeletor doing anything else.
And this for me, I always hated these energy beasts, these fire beasts.
It's the energy beasts episode is so god awful anyway too.
Yeah,
so
I never could get into them. They always look so unthreatening to me. As like, oh great, a big just see-through pile of nothing, or a big fire demon in another episode. And I know some people love those kind of things, but I hated those when they
I didn't like it at all either.
Because there was you hear how he even growls. It's not intimidating. It's like it's actually somebody going rawr. I'm like, oh, that's scary. So but at least
it kind of makes you wonder too, where the animation got so good and they did some good voice work with a lot of these characters, which, by the way, I love Lou Scheimer's voice as Modulok. But you just kind of feel like, how is it something like this? That's awesome.
Yeah.
How does, this energy base, and I know they reuse a lot of creatures sometimes, but sometimes you kind of feel like, they dropped the ball on some of the creatures a lot of times. But but it really, in hindsight, doesn't affect the story because Modulok is a badass, Hordak's a badass, so is Skeletor, He-Man, She-Ra. Everyone's treated great. So.
Yep, and now because of that power surge and what it did, it disrupted that gate, and now it just sent those ships to they don't know where. They could be anywhere throughout the universe. And of course, which now this gets Hordak upset, and he's going to make Modulok the Horde cook, or give him the time Horde cook for failing him. It's like, he really didn't do it. Shadow Weaver was the one that screwed your wires there, but he ain't going to dare say that to Shadow Weaver, so he's just going to put it on the new guy, definitely. Yeah, you're going to be the Horde cook. You messed up.
Well, at least look at it this way. You do have a job with the Horde now. It's not what you want, but, it's, at least Hordak does like him enough to keep him around.
Yeah, let's get that damn rocket in a figure form. Just had to say that.
I wouldn't mind, a few accessories that accompany, figures, like Hordak in his little tank mode, or the rocket, or... the wide variety of ones. Some of them are actually, I wouldn't mind having it in toy form.
Yep. And
I always like the shot.
Yeah, I love how she still, communicates with the sorceress, and that's definitely, because some people wondered, well, how does she know Adam's coming? It's like, remember, she has the sword. The sword of protection allows her to communicate with the sorceress, and so that's how they know about all the communication back and forth. And the sorceress opens up a gate, of course, and He-Man's like, well, you're going to come with me, and Skeletor doesn't want to do it. He figured he could open up his own gate. Skeletor's still got to be prideful, but, that ain't going to last.
No.
He's like, oh, yeah, he's just barely, especially after, when you see coming up here with the Horde Troopers, like, okay, yep, time to go through.
I do like the animation just continues to get better and better, quality-wise, extra details on the anatomy. Different types of animation get used. It's
sure,
it really does look so good throughout the She-Ra series when He-Man and Skeletor and the rest of their crew show up. You really don't see a whole lot of lack of animation or constant. But even with Filmation, the first two seasons of He-Man, they all look damn good. No, but you just when watching it so many times, you see extra details and stuff like that, and I just appreciate that.
Okay, and now you see where all the forces land on some random wherever the hell this planet was. These things, and it's not being gross. I was like, what are these single running testicles? What the hell are these?
I knew you were going to take it that way.
But
I just knew that was coming.
And I always thought they looked like nuts with eyes and legs. I was like, what are these hairy little balls?
Yeah, that's what you call them, nut balls.
So, but no, that was a really good episode.
Yeah.
Okay, and Grimbot just said there was a fun fact. He said the Rocket Hordak design is a leftover of an older design. So, okay. I don't know if he meant an older design of Hordak, of The early ones, is that what you meant, Grimbot? I just want to make sure. But okay, well, like I said, now if you want, you guys can ask us any questions. And while you're doing that, there is a question we did have, Tyler, from Phil McCollum. He said, "Oh, let me get right to these. I'm sorry, I just had to scroll down. Okay." He said he'd love to hear our thoughts on what would have happened if there was a sequel to the Masters of the Universe movie. He says, what would have went down at Snake Mountain? And he said, after Skeletor got out of his pit. Now, of course, we know that there was some script ideas already in the works, and one that maybe some people will hear of soon eventually, of a sequel. But throwing all those things aside of what maybe was planned, I mean, I would like it to think, okay, let's say in a perfect world, that original movie made gangbusters, a lot more money. And it then led to them having a better budget to where they could have had more special effects. Let's say it would have been probably, in my version, just on Eternia. You could have got, more characters like Triclops that, we didn't get to see. You could have seen Merman. You could have had some more of the heroic warriors. We could have had Ram Man, Mechanic. It would have been great to see them join up. But it would also have been cool if, like, Skeletor is now thinking everybody thinks he was defeated. He has to, revamp his forces. Maybe that's when he searches for other warriors. Maybe he could have found possibly the Snake Men. He would have went deep in Snake Mountain, and he could have brought them to help. And of course, then the Snake Men would have double crossed him, which would have led to an epic 3 different factions war in the movie. I would have liked something different in that type of direction. Which, of course, if it would have led into another one, yes, we would have got the Horde later, but I would have liked something like that if, a perfect world made money and it could have had, more money for better effects and more characters.
I would have liked to have seen, because they intended for She-Ra to be in the film. Obviously, she got cut for time and budgetary reasons, stuff like that. But I would have liked to have seen William Stout's design of She-Ra come to fruition, be on screen. The Snake Men were intended to be in early drafts. That would have been cool to see. As a kid, I always thought Cobra Khan and Triclops would have looked really cool in the movie. I like to have known that Blade survived and comes back for the sequel, along with Beastman, Evelyn, and Karg. I would have liked to have seen Clamp Champ, because Clamp Champ, it wouldn't be a special effect, just a big muscular black guy, some kick-ass armor, his weapon, and have hand-to-hand combat. You could have Ninjor in there. I just feel like, oh god, I mean, they're just, and give us the long sword fight that we were supposed to have gotten. Except this time, have it at Snake Mountain. And William Stout's design for Snake Mountain looked unbelievable, looked amazing. So to explore more of Snake Mountain, because we get it in that one scene, and we got it confirmed by William Stout. So anybody listening to this who says Snake Mountain wasn't in the movie, you go to hell, because it was confirmed by the guy who designed that set. It was the only scene of Snake Mountain in the film. It's just not name checked to confuse the audience.
Not name checked, but he did confirm it. He's the one that designed everything.
Yes.
He would
God,
know
it just drove me nuts how nobody ever seemed to believe that. So I would love to have seen Skeletor's throne room and more parts of Snake Mountain. And yes, obviously set it more on Eternia, but I'm sure, I guess we're talking perfect world. I don't need a whole lot. Just give me a few more characters, give us a little bit more of Eternia, and give us more sword fights and stuff like that. Because I as people who listen to this, I absolutely love the film. To me, it's damn near perfect, because I appreciate the troubles they went through, the budget reasons. It makes me appreciate even more what we got. Even though as a kid and as a teenager and as an adult, I absolutely loved it. And you find out this stuff, it makes it that much more gratifying and enjoyable to know all the hard work that was put in, regardless of all the drama. So I like to have seen She-Ra, the Snake Man, Clamp Champ, Ninjor, Triclops, Cobra Khan. And you know what? Even at that time, Battle Cat, Orko, I still don't think they would have been able to accomplish those.
Hell, I don't even think they could probably do it nowadays. I watch some movies with some bad effects where even you think they have a lot of money behind these movies, and they show them riding some kind of creature, and it looks so phony and off. But I mean,
if the movie came out in 87, a sequel would have come out in 88, 89 probably. I would have liked to have thought, you know what, maybe they could have approached Industrial Light and Magic at that time, because they had done Willow and done a lot of special effects in that. Phil Tippett was still working, kicking around, stuff like that. Richard Edlund's crew, who did work on the live action movie, they're the guys behind Ghostbusters and Big Trouble in Little China, to give them a few examples. If they had more money to work with, I think they could have done even more grandiose things. So it really just comes down to budget. But that's just that. Me and Joe could do a whole episode on what we would like to have seen.
God, yeah, because there's so much. But no, but thank you for that question.
Good question.
Yes. Zentron. Oh, I like this question. Zentron said, which mini comic of He-Man and She-Ra would you have wanted Filmation to be turned into an episode? Oh, God, there's so many of the comics, like I said, of different types of origins.
Clash of Arms, man. Clash of Arms, dude.
I know. Yeah, because I know you love Clash of Arms. I'm sitting there thinking of some of the cool origins. Like, hell, when we talked about the Menace of Trapjaw last week, what an amazing mini comic. But I've always been such a sucker of the search for Keldor, just the thought of all these other characters popping up. Because, oh my God, then when we got Ninja, and we've got Scareglow, you have Clamp-Champ. You would have
and proper Faker.
And that's what I was just saying. And Faker, how we know him. Of course, Grimbot and James Eatock, we are going to be getting Faker like that in the Return of Faker. So we'll be getting that soon. But no, the search for Keldor, man, it could have led to so many things in the Three Towers and everything. Oh, Jesus. But God, yeah. And Tyler just said it, Clash of Arms. My God, that could have been an amazing episode to see animated, especially Fisto would be the one that's the star, but to see that kind of fighting,
and to see Jitsu come in and have a much more prominent spot in the episode with Webstore, Clawful, Whiplash.
And just a butt kicking from Whiplash. Oh, God, to see Whiplash just beat the mess out of Fisto. Like I said, he could have killed him. Like I said, I mean, Fisto, he went through the ringer, boy. He was beating and fighting everybody. But, yeah, Whiplash was there basically to finish him. He would have killed him. But then here came He-Man. He would have been on Stridor. He came with a mysterious gun that he just didn't use nowhere else. But he would have had it there. But that's what's cool. I like it. It's something different. You could have the blast. But, of course, we could have the sword pulled out, a fight maybe against Skeletor. That would have been really awesome. Yeah, I think those three out of Menace of Trapjaw, Clash of Arms, Search for Keldor. Oh, God.
I mean, I still like the Hordak mini comic because the vast majority of the characters in that mini comic were in Filmation. So
that would have been bananas. Could you imagine all of them in one episode?
To see an all-out assault with the Horde and Skeletor's Warriors at Grayskull, all being defended by choice. Obviously they wouldn't be able to fit everybody into it because that's a big ass scene for Filmation to have to animate. But to see like your core, like Shadow Weaver, Leech, Grizzlor, Montana with Hordak, a company like Skeletor with maybe at least Jitsu, Cobra Khan, Whiplash.
Then we could have got Spidor.
What the hell not?
And we could have had Spidor in there. Oh, damn. Oh, too much.
Stinkor, because Stinkor has a prominent role in that episode as well.
Zentron, why did you have to do that? Zentron had to get us all pumped up because now the thoughts of turning those into the freaking cartoon episodes. Thanks for getting us excited and great questions, Zentron. But Jesus, that got us too worked up. Grimbot said, Joe, this is Canon Films. All that extra money would have been used to fund their other projects. Yeah, you're probably right.
I know. But cool. there is a part of me that still, even though obviously what they were playing, obviously they went way too far off. Our buddy John Atkin has the script for Master of the Universe 2, one of the scripts, and he purchased it from the director himself. So we do know they were going way too far off the path. I'd love to know more about what was in that script just to see how far they were going off. But, there's part of me that would still be interested in another canon He-Man film because I'm still fascinated by the idea that they were going to do a Spider-Man film. And had we gotten it by Joe Zito and done what they were setting out to do, I still would be interested in seeing what a canon Spider-Man film would look like.
I can't remember. I have it on DVD because it was like some bootleg I got off of, I think, actually eBay. But I have that original Fantastic Four movie that was made years ago.
Yeah.
Ooh, you talk about, again, being restricted to like budgets and things and effects. Oh, wow, that was rough. I mean, if you guys never seen it, I'm sure you can find it somewhere. But
it's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's easy to purchase and stuff like that. But I remember seeing the trailer for that on Carnosaur when Carnosaur came out on VHS, and the trailer was attached to it. Me and my dad looked at each other like, yeah, that's how we found out about it. And because Carnosaur was produced by Roger Corman's company, and to see the trailer for that Fantastic Four movie, me and my dad lost our minds when we saw that because it was a Friday night. It was just me and him staying with each other over the weekend. My mom, my brother went out of town. It was a guys' weekend of watching movies and stuff, and like Fantastic Four. We couldn't believe. And my dad went to Kmart the next day and bought me a Doctor Doom figure from the Marvel Superheroes toy line.
That's great.
And we watched that trailer to death. Me and my dad were so, because he loved Fantastic Four. He loved the Thing, and we were just so pumped and just were waiting and waiting.
And
nothing ever comes out. And as you get older, I would see it for sale in like like Toy Shop magazine, and like the Fantastic Four movie, you could buy it, but it would be years later before I'd actually see it and stuff like that.
Well,
But
did you and your dad watch it together?
no, no,
Oh, because I would
don't-
love to have heard that story.
No, we never did, and I don't think it would hold his attention. Because
Okay. No,
sometimes my deck could sit and watch some of the shittiest sci-fi original movies about sharks and stuff. But if I tried to tell him, remember that Fantastic Four movie you and I thought were coming out? Here it is. And he'd be like, God, Tyler, can we watch something else?
Right.
He has a hard time sitting through Jaws 3. Hell, I do too. So I think he'd have a hard time sitting through the Fantastic Four film.
Yeah. No, definitely. But all right. Well, thank you for that question again. Okay. For that comment, because that was Grimbot who led into all that. Thanks, Grimbot.
Oh,
Adam,
yes.
Adam Gabbert said, Joe and Tyler, have you remembered seeing bloopers in the Filmation He-Man and She-Ra series during your childhood? Me, from my childhood, because, again, I just watched them when they were on TV. That was kind of it. I know Tyler with renting them. He might have rented those movies, the cartoons so much that he might, but I couldn't, as a kid, remember when there was bloopers. I know that they point out color errors and weird stuff and hair animation missing from things and stuff, but as a kid, no, I didn't remember anything. What about you, Tyler?
On occasion, I would notice stuff. More or less, I would notice like if the sword was drawn like incorrectly, like the way like the end of the sword was drawn, because to me, like that was just as prominent as He-Man himself was the power sword, and if that was drawn wrong, I caught that pretty quickly. But yeah, because I rented the same group of tapes over and over, I watched them. I got to know those episodes very intimately, very early on. So yes, I would notice them on occasions, and then I got older, I would notice it a little bit more. But
yeah, I figured as a kid you would have. Me, nope, because I just see them on TV. I didn't really focus that much, but as an adult now, yeah, I've seen the things, and I do appreciate that question. So thank you, Adam. Brad Collins has a question just for you, Tyler.
All right, bring it on.
Just wondering, once your Clamp Champ Ninja mini comic is finished, if it does well, are you planning on more new character comics, remakes, or even sequels of old ones?
Yes. Carson is still drawing it. He's got his hands full with his own life and stuff like that too. But he sent me another inked page of not colored, but another finished page. It looks just like how I wrote it. And the next one, I'm in the middle of writing it. I had to restart it because I just didn't like where it was going. It's introducing Blade into the He-Man universe, his introduction to Skeletor, his encounter with He-Man, and that's the one I'm writing on next, and possibly Carson really wanted to, and he really wanted to do like movie related mini comics because the Cosmic Key is a pretty piss poor mini comic, so the idea was to do
what was it, 7 pages or less? I can't even remember.
Yeah, it's like 6 pages. It's a terrible mini comic. So the idea was to do at least 3. I have ideas for 3. Carson wants me to do 4. But these stories would kind of connect the events leading up to the live action movie. Like Gwildor, Gwildor's part in what we see him in the live action movie. He's captured because he's created the Cosmic Key. All right. My idea was to tell that story to what led up to that.
I thought you were getting ready to tell it because I was going to say, I might take my headphones off.
No, I'm not going to spoil it, but that's the point of that. And this would be Blade and He-Man's first confrontation. Soul Rise, I have no idea, but the Blade one I'm currently writing right now. I've also got ideas for other ones I'd like to do, other characters I want to flesh out. So people have to show support for it, otherwise, because it all goes to Carson to pay for the stuff. I don't get anything of this other than just strictly passion. So, Brad, if you want it, we need people to support it and show that there's interest there. Because Carson, he's been gone for so long. He's, he wants to know that there's a demand to do or to see another mini comic. So, I just need people to show support for it. When I get another fully finished image, I'll share it. I appreciate your support for that, Brad, and anybody else listening to this. It is coming. I'm pretty satisfied with it because it's an all action mini comic. It takes place in the caverns underneath Grayskull as an homage to the Caverns of Fear Golden Book. That's cool. That's where this takes place, and
I look forward to that.
Yeah, it's pretty. And I threw in a couple of small little cameos as well that Carson thought was really cool. they don't have anything really to do with the story. The story is Clamchamp fighting Ninjor. And I think people will really, really, if you like these characters, would like to know more about them. Um, I'm pretty proud of it. So I hope people will show interest and want to buy more of this one. That way we can keep doing more. And it's because Carson needs to know that it's all validated, stuff like that. So just spread the word and let me know you want them. Let me know you're interested. Let Carson know you're interested. He's on Facebook. You can send him emails and things like that too. So if you want to know more, don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Carson. Or if you don't know me that well, or what's that?
We can always give links to Carson's Facebook page too, so people can see his art and know where he's at and how to contact him as well. That definitely could work.
Yeah, and I told him there is a demand for others who wanted the Leech mini comic who didn't get it. So, there's that possibility that we would try to provide him with funds to print more copies that people wanted it. So. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate your interest in that because it means a lot because I have so much fun writing this stuff, and it's good to know that people, it's not a wide thing, and it's hard to get people to notice this stuff and make them aware that it's out there. So I appreciate people having interest in that. Thank you, Brad.
No, thank you. That was a great question. We do appreciate that. So, okay, and Delva 78. Oh man, you're given a question which this is gonna be tough. He said, favorite Masters of the Universe artwork. And then he said, and after that, Grizzlor versus Beastman, who'd win? I'm going to have to go with, I'd say Beastman, but that was a quick one. I don't want to go
I almost feel like that need to be more specific, like which.
Yeah, because there's so many different versions.
I'm going to say movie Beastman is going to be any incarnation of Grizzlor just because it's movie Beastman. So I'm going to say Beastman because it's movie Beastman.
Yeah. Now the Grizzlor from the back of that card art looks absolutely psychotic, insane. He looks like he'd rip your flesh to pieces.
Or Grizzlor from the mini comic. Grizzlor from the mini comic.
But I'm telling you, that card back art reminded me, like I said, of a critter. He looked vicious.
Yeah, but critters are not that. I mean, come on, it's critters.
Well, the thing is, I have critters in my head of how they eat and destroy flesh, and now I'm seeing a giant version with claws and more of a man-like, and I'm like, oh my god. If a critter could do that much damage, and you look at this big-ass Beastman on the back, he scared the crap out of me as a kid. That actually freaked me out. I was like, this guy would rip somebody to pieces within a second. So
I think of Grizzlor like that in the Hornet mini comic where he's coming at Whiplash saying, I'm going to tear you apart, you slimy swamp thing. And like, that sounded vicious to me because he's just charging at Whiplash, looking like he's going to tear him apart. Of course, Whiplash is, attacking him right on too. But I'm probably just going to say Beastman too.
Yeah, I'll do that, but
not to say that Grizzlor wouldn't beat the hell out of Beastman.
Hell, that could be a whole segment of a show. That's why I was like, we might have to save that. I mean, I'm sorry, Delvis. We might have to save that for an episode if we talk about battles, because then we could get more in depth. But as for your favorite Masters of the Universe artwork, the reason that's tough for me is there's so many damn beautiful pieces that exist, but then there's ones that also have like a memory for me. Like, okay, I always say the first epic William George gigantic poster, the one that has Sky High, which I babble about so much, it was just so memorable because this is going to sound weird, but we had it in the basement hung on the wall by our pool table. And when me and my dad, my brother, or any of the family go there and play some pool, I got to look at that. And I felt like, I felt like I was in part of eternity at the time. I'd really get so absorbed into that poster. So it's a beautiful piece, and I love it for that too. But then I look at, damn, it's when we mentioned the trap, and I've said this to Grimbot, I can't help it. The trap by, I'm going to say it, Tyler, Gino Diachile. I got to say it. There's the name drop.
Yeah.
That piece for the trap, it's full of so much damn intensity. The look that He-Man has as he's shoving the door right through Skeletor, that is just epic art. And you can feel it. When you can feel an emotion or what's going on with one piece, you're doing something right. So, but there's so many of Earl Norm, William George, Gino, Alcala, Rudy Obrero. It's tough. But those two pop into my head immediately, I guess.
The Drew Struzan poster for the live action movie, because that was the VHS cover. That was very, very impressionable movie as a kid, still is to this day. And probably Earl Norm's attack poster of He-Man with riding Strider with Buzz off with the Stinger Lance Fister taking on Whiplash, Clawful, and Webstor.
That's a lot going on. Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool piece.
That was when I first saw that on the early days of the internet. That was pretty impressive. Along with Earl's movie poster tie-in with He-Man fighting Blade, that was a big one. And Earl's Horde poster back there too. Earl had Errol McCarthy's card art and William George's box art. Those impressed me. I mean, all of them were. There wasn't one that I didn't find that. But
it's hard. That's a tough question because there's so much. But
the ones that Joe says, like, I'm sure those they have meaning, like the movie poster art and those right there, because I remember seeking those out. I mean, those two posters by Earl Norm. When I heard about those, that was like my mission I must track down the first issue of the He-Man magazine and the movie related issue with Dolph on the cover that had. I'm looking at it right here, the movie poster that Earl did. So it just because I heard about that at such an early age. One of my buddies knew of a guy that he went to school with who had that poster on his wall, and he told me about it, and it was just I have to see what this poster looks like. It was just a mission in my life to find that poster and the first issue as well that had that battle poster there too. But there's all the guys that Joe named off. You know, it's. I mean, we've discussed the artwork so many times, but those would be the three most impressionable ones right off the top of my head. There's certain pieces of card art that have resonated with me as well, like the Cyclone card art. God, I'm drawing a blank here, but yeah. Oh, Battle Armor Skeletor. That was another one because I remember that as a kid thinking that was the card art for Skeletor as a kid, because I remember getting He-Man Skeletor, but I don't think I caught the card art quite yet until Battle Armor Skeletor, what they're fighting on top of Castle Grayskull. So for years before I saw the internet, I thought that was the card art for Skeletor, which was them fighting on the parapet of Grayskull, but that was the Battle Armor one. So, but that was one that left a major impression on me I think I was like 3 or 4 years old.
There's just so many. I mean, that was the great thing about all the art of Masters is you love the art just as much as the figures. We've said this so many times, but it's a truth. It didn't happen with many toy lines and kids thinking, I'm just. Well,
I think most of the 80s toy lines, though, I will say, I mean, from the real Ghostbusters to G.I. Joe, Thundercats.
You know, but you just don't hear it as much. You don't hear about it. It's celebrated as the Masters art, where kids say, damn it, I went in the store.
Well, yeah, I mean, in comparison, nobody had box art or card art like He-Man did. Like, I mean, I'd say probably the close runner-up would have been G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe did have some beautiful card bursts and beautiful, stunning, action-oriented box art for the Cobra vehicles and the Joe vehicles. But
hell, even Sectars, but Sectars wasn't as big as others, so a lot of people.
And Thundercats had some kick-ass box art as well.
But Masters, it's just that's what it's always been.
It's a league of its own, man.
It is.
It really is.
It is different, but man, thanks for that question, because that just sucks us all in. And all right, now we got Zentron movie quote. He'll probably challenge him to a game of Zaxxon. Yes, I do know that one. You're not going to trick me on that. Trish said that about Tommy in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, because we know that Tommy was playing some Zaxxon while he was wearing a mask. But yeah, when he was talking about if somebody was coming, and Trish said, yeah, he'll probably challenge him to a game of Zaxxon. So I do know that, Zentron. I didn't fail on my Friday the 13th trivia this time. Damn it. So, but thank you for that, buddy. Let's see.
Yeah, we might just have to throw out some random Friday the 13th quotes at Joe just to,
keep trying.
Just to constantly embarrass him, because he doesn't get them too often. I've stumped him, I think, twice on Friday the 13th quotes.
But... Well, I think you only got me once. It was a stupid Shelley quote, and I was like, damn it. I just didn't think about Shelley towards the beginning when he was coming out of when he was like, I'm not an asshole, I'm an actor, or whatever he said. I was like, damn it, I just forgot. It happens. So I have my brain.
I love how you still remember specifically that one. Like that just shows me it left a nice scar.
It did. Thank you for that. There. I appreciate that, because you get to rub it in, and I like that. So all right, and Toki Deathhammer said Jaws 3 is one of the greatest movies of all time. Oh dear God, Toki.
I really wish Jaws 3 was, because it had so much potential. It was a great idea. It's just, and I even talked to Joe Owsley, the guy who directed it too, about it. He put the blame, which I've heard too. The producer on Jaws 3 didn't know what the hell he was doing, and was making things I'm plus the whole 3D stuff just didn't work as well too. But I still think Jaws 3 could have been a damn good movie with a giant mother shark breaking into SeaWorld, eating, the guests and stuff like that. Of course, there's barely any deaths in Jaws 3 also. Of course, there's not that many in Jaws the Revenge either, but Jaws the Revenge is a far superior film. But Jaws 3, even though it's extremely hard to watch, and we'll talk about it on next week's Beyond Retro for those who enjoy the Jaws sequels. Joe, myself, and Nathan Kennedy will be talking the Jaws sequels next Sunday.
And speaking of that, our recording man, Nathan, did just pop up, and he said that right at the bottom. He said, make sure you check out next week's Beyond Retro. We're going to talk about the Jaws sequels. Yes. So he was letting everybody know that. So yeah, we will. God forbid we'll have to talk
about it. And we're not going to be just talking like the Jaws sequels. I hold them in high regard, and we want to dig deep and discuss those movies, not just gloss over them and talk the bare minimum. Like, we want to talk in depth about specific scenes and thoughts and ideas and stuff. So if you enjoy the Jaws films or you laugh on whatever, check it out. We'll have a lot of fun things to say about the Jaws sequels.
It will be. And next week I'll be a little more prepared. I'll have myself in a different section. I'll make sure I get a different chair or a different setup, because this one, like I said, my legs have been kicking the table. I feel like I'm sitting on the floor because it's a low chair. My quality looks worse than it always does. And how is that even possible when I have VHS quality? So it was pretty piss poor with my quality. I apologize. But again, I did want to thank all of you guys for all your questions and being here and joining us. It's been great. And before I close it up, I'm going to pass it to Tyler in case you had anything you want to recommend or anything you want to say before we close it up.
I want to thank everybody who comes and joins us each week, whether this is your first time or your 50th time, second time, you listen to the podcast, the YouTube, or watching the YouTube and listen to us on Podbean, iTunes. I want to thank you, every man and woman, or child too, if you listen to it with your parents, that for supporting us and downloading us. Please spread the word. We ought to venture out and try other avenues of advertising the podcast. Maybe some other places on our Twitter, Instagram, and stuff like that as well. But,
and I did want to apologize for my cursing earlier. That does not usually happen on the show. It just rarely happens.
But, are you kidding? The cussing is getting a little bit more.
But I swear, I've tried to, like I said, not do that. Like, sometimes it happened. And
well, it's not like we're doing a scene from Casino right now, or anything like that. It's it's just in the heat of the moment, and we're not sponsored by Kroger or Walmart or Hallmark or something like that.
Wow,
so it's not like we have to answer to corporate sponsors for choice words and stuff like that. As of right now, I think not that we're making a habit to drop F-bombs and stuff like that, because we don't need to talk that way.
It just happened when my stuff dropped.
Happens. It happens, and any good parent knows, don't repeat what you hear Joe Motto say on that podcast.
Oh, thanks a lot. You drop them too, but it was when my thing went down and fell and everything, I just lost it. Our first sponsor would probably be Dollar Tree or something, especially with how I am. But no, and Delvis,
or maybe we could get McDonald's, but all we do is just plug the dollar menu. That'd be great.
And then all those free ketchup I get and straws and everything else. But Delta 78, you did not blindside us with those questions. Those were awesome questions, so you don't have to apologize.
Oh, yeah. All the questions we got tonight were great. I enjoyed every single one of those. And I will say this too. We mentioned it before, and me and Joe just need to sit down and figure it out. I definitely want to do another fan appreciation night where everybody in the chat room this time, if you show up in the chat room, all we'll do is just answer your questions for an hour and a half, and that will be the topics of discussion. We won't pick a topic. Anything. We won't do the whole thing. Send us your questions, unless we may do it to a certain degree. But I feel like if you're going to show up and be part of the show through the chat room, we should give those people the opportunity to ask us all the questions for the podcast. Maybe we can answer a few of the people send them in to us, but we've never done that before. We've done 2 fan appreciation episodes, but our chat room has done so well.
It'll be all about you guys. Anything you want to ask, it'd be great to do that. And before I did wrap it up, I did want to say though, if you guys, like I said, please subscribe, share, like this page, ring that bell, because like I said, when you ring the bell down there, it definitely keeps you notified for any time we go live or something new is coming on. It keeps you in the know. So definitely subscribe, like, ring the bell there, share, do all of that. And there is one question from Nathan. He said, how many tank tops does Tyler own? So Nathan had to jump in just to do that to you.
I haven't begun to count. I own like several Gold's Gym tanks, several Pitbull Gym tanks. I've got several just plain, really soft material tanks. And that's all I wear. Unless it's like dressing up for an evening out at dinner or something like that, or a special occasion. I just wear tank tops all the time. Like that's my comfort zone. So I don't wear t-shirts anymore. It's strictly tank tops. So
Right.
I don't know how many. I do own a lot though.
All right, well, I'm sure it is quite a bit. But T-Rex, it's been a great one. And again, every one of you guys in the chat room, it's always awesome having you here. We love the interaction and love having you here with us each week. And hope you enjoy it as well. And hope you return each week. And like I said, tell some of your friends about it if they want to watch it too. But we love having you, especially a lot of the regulars. We love seeing new people. But like I said, just sitting around talking with friends, because Fans of Power isn't just the name of the podcast or just me and Tyler's Fans of Power. I always say it, it's all of us. All of us are fans of Power, from Eye of the Power to Princess of Power. It's all, Power means something, but that's all of us. We're all the fans of Power.
Yeah, because we can't do this without listeners. So people
Exactly.
who listen to us in whatever form, we can't do it without you. So you're the reason we do it, and we can't do it without you. So
Exactly.
continue to support us, and we'll continue to make sure every episode is worth your time. That you can, if you got 3 podcasts, you get sports podcasts, news podcasts. We want to make sure that we become one of the priorities that you devote time to when you're driving and whatever. So
it's all about the love. That it really is. That's what we do it for. Just, we love this property. We love talking about it, and hope you love listening to it, and sharing with us and having an experience each week with us. So, but again, it was great having you. So until next time, have a powerful day.
ever hear of a tune-up? You ever hear of Ritual Killer?
Oh, I love some Uncle Buck. Oh, I do love that. I got it. I got one.
I spliced up the quote a little bit there, but I figure if I did it, you would get that.
Oh yeah, that was when he was talking with Bug, right?
Bug, yeah.
There, exactly. I love that damn movie. But
I do too. We'll have to talk about that on Beyond Retro.
Oh yeah, definitely.